How dare you cast Ariel as a black woman? I think for a company that prides itself in imagination, that is the least imaginative thing you could possibly do. I'll tell you why, because I don't want my young black nephew watching Mary Queen of Scots thinking, well, in the 1500s, we were advisors to the Queen and generals to armies. No, you weren't. No, black people weren't, and white people teaching that they were is a way of getting rid of the guilt that they carry. Absolute nonsense. It is a lazy attempt at casting black people in modern day television. If you think of some of the black people in history, I actually got this up. I'm going to read the full title out. In 1861, a slave named Robert Smalls stole a Confederate ship and delivered it to the Union Army. He was given command of the ship. He became a major general, bought the house where he was a slave, and let the former owner's wife live there when she developed dementia. He learned how to read and write and won an election against a white man and served 5 years in Congress. Where is the movie about Robert Smalls?
So the rest of what Tristan Tate has to say about this is in the rest of this video. I highly encourage you guys to watch it. So this video actually came out from one of the live streams that I did. Check out my live streams when I'm out there, you guys. I do those daily for the most part. And it's just perfect timing that I saw Moist Critical do a review on the Velma like show that's going on out here. And when I saw that Velma was black, I was like, what the fuck? Are you serious? Why? Like, this doesn't even make sense. I grew up watching the Scooby-Doo gang being white. I don't want them to be black. And now that I hear that they even did it even worse, they made her a terrible character, it's like we're going backwards. You're taking people that have been traditionally white, turning them black, and then making those characters even worse than what they were before. It doesn't make sense. This is what you think of us. This is what you think of black people. So I feel disrespected, you guys. I do. I can't believe it. So that's just something that's that came about that I saw today. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the rest of this video, man. Leave a like, comment, subscribe down below. We want this to start this conversation. That I accept all races, all genders, everything over here. But what we are doing over here is simply having the conversation and pointing out some of the ugly truths and ugly facts. And even if you don't believe it to be a truth or a fact, it's someone's perspective. It's someone's experience with their one life on this planet as they are who they are, right? So with that being said, man, much love, and I hope y'all motherfuckers stay up and have a great rest of your 2023, man. We already halfway through the month, man. You know what I'm saying? Let's get to it. Tristan Tate had, I'll just let him talk about it, actually. Let's get into it.
And that it's very easy to be misconstrued and taken out of context when discussing very sensitive issues. So with that in mind, I'm going to dive right in here. Hey, Tristan, I know you are a biracial man. I'd like to know what your thoughts are on Disney casting the new Ariel mermaid as a black woman.
Uh-oh. Hot take. Hot take. This is probably going to rub people the wrong way. This is for sure going to rub people the wrong way. I think it's nice having black representation, but I do think it is still very fucking lazy that we can't bring any other historical African Americans or African people. Like, we have to continue to reiterate classical people as black people. Like, that is a little weird. I'm not gonna lie, like Captain America black, like it's like we can tell that you're doing this as fucking because of the fucking times right now. But let's listen to what Tristan Tate has to say.
And the room goes silent, talking on the internet about race issues. I am going to tell you what I think about Disney casting the new Ariel from Little Mermaid as a black woman. Oh, messages are popping up on my phone. Don't talk about it, right? Let me put my phone down. I'm going to say, how dare you, Disney? How dare you cast Ariel as a black woman? I think for a company that prides itself in imagination, that is the least imaginative thing you could possibly do. Now, wherever you think I'm going with this, you're going to be wrong, so sit back and listen up. I think that if you hired a bunch of movie makers who had never seen The Little Mermaid before and said, all right, guys, we're going to make a show about a mermaid who lives under the sea, who's half human, and they went off and animated or hired or cast a black actress or made the character black and said, here we go, we're finished with the movie, you could say, oh, well, in my mind, she was white and redheaded, but yeah, cool, fair enough, mistake, cool, you hired an actress, good for you, cool, let's run with the movie. But that's not what happened, is it? What happened is a bunch of executives at Disney sat around at a table and said, I have a good idea to represent black people. Let's make Ariel black. Let's take a character who is historically white and redheaded. Forget about the little redhead girls who like having a Disney princess that they can look up to. Let's turn this character black because that will make black people feel good. Now, I am a multiracial, biracial man. My father was black, my mother is white. And I can't speak for all black people. But I can speak as a mixed race man with a black nephew and say...
Okay, so the thing is it's so interesting when biracial people want to call in the card like, yeah, I got a black brother, I got a black whatever. What matters is your skin color. That's really what matters at the end of the day, man. That, like, when we think about the slavery times, we think about the light skin, dark skin thing, man. And even to this day, I'm a biracial person. My dad is Hispanic, my mom is black. My mom is dark skinned. My dad looks like almost like fucking Andrew Tate type of shit. You know what I mean? But looking at me, I look black. I talk black damn near, whatever. So it's so hard to really identify a lot more with one race or another when, especially your skin complexion. Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate, y'all look white. Your dad is black, but you look fucking white. You don't have the experience of a black person, of a dark-skinned person. The experience of a dark-skinned person is completely different, so much more different than the average, everyday, whatever, even if you're black. You know what I mean? So it's like...
I think that is the laziest, most pathetic excuse for representing black people on modern-day television. Let me tell you something. We're going to role-play something. In the 1980s, they did it right. They did representation on television the right way. In 1982 or 1983, an executive walked into an office at an American television studio and said, listen up, guys, we don't have enough black people on television. And the executives and the producers all sat around and said, you know what, you're right, we don't have enough black people on television. I have an idea. What we'll do is we'll create a sitcom that doesn't portray black characters in a negative way. Let's have the father be a judge, the mother be a lawyer, the daughter be a television presenter, the son be a straight A student. And let's cast Will Smith as a character who is living in an upper class, well-to-do black family, but still struggling with some of the issues that modern-day black teenagers deal with. Let's call it the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Let's not portray black people in a negative light, and let's do something positive for the black community by making this show. And the executives sat around and discussed it, and they thumbs up it and signed it into reality, and the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, one of my favorite shows when I was a kid, was born.
It's so easy to hate the Tate brothers when they say things that make people angry, but when you truly listen to what they're saying, how can you actually be angry at some, like this is his perspective. This is a genuine, true perspective, regardless of whether or not you think it's true, regardless of whether or not you think that he has a point or not. This is a genuine, well-spoken, well-thought-out perspective from the way that he views the way that black people are being represented in media. I have nothing but respect for it.
Cosby Show, exactly the same. They sat around and said, let's make a proud, well-to-do black family and put them in front of everybody on the television every single day without portraying black characters in a negative light. That is how you do black representation on television. What you do nowadays, Disney executives and Netflix executives who are listening, is you are lazy and you are not treating the issue seriously. Today, 2021, 2022, a television executive runs through the door and says, guys, Netflix, we don't have enough black people on television. What do we do about this? And you dummies sit around and go, Black Vikings? And you all cheer and say, yeah, Black Vikings, wonderful idea. Let's make Vikings black. It's an insult to Norse history. It's an insult to European history. It's an insult to black history. It's not factually correct, and it doesn't help black people. It is lazy. And one of you clowns at Disney sat around when the executive said we need more representation of black people on television. and you went, you know the Little Mermaid? There's been like
I wish that more black people would listen to Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate and do reactions to this, because I would want to know what the consensus is. I want to know what other black people think about this type of commentary. Like this is like it sounds very fucking good, because he has a point. I mean, were there really black Vikings? I mean, there's a case to be made that there's a black person in damn near every fucking thing, because it's really just the skin type at the end of the day. But if you're talking about an African descendant being in a Viking or a samurai or something like that, it is a bit questionable. You know what I mean? It is a bit questionable. And so I don't think that it's an issue so much for, like, I think black people enjoy seeing black people do other things that traditionally black people aren't going to be doing, because when you think about whitewashing history, I mean, the most common argument is Egyptians weren't white, right? The most common argument, the most common thing that we see of whitewashing ethnic history is the Egyptians, right? And so we can say this is an eye for an eye. We can say this is an eye for an eye, saying like, you know, we can color black characters in traditionally white characters, because, you know, I mean, it's just it's more representation. But, you know, I don't know. Zacchaeus, he said a lot of black thinkers and commentators have had these conversations. I would love to know who. If you can mention some, if you could type some down below, I would love to listen to what they have to say. I would react to it for sure.
20 movies with her in it. She's a character at every Disney theme park, and she's a white woman with red hair. Why don't we just make her black? And you patted yourselves on the back and said, "Well done. You've done your bit for black people. You should be ashamed of yourself." That is the least imaginative way to help black representation I've ever heard of. And it's not just that. I see it all the time. I was watching a movie recently, and I had to turn it off halfway through. Mary, Queen of Scots. It was set in during the reign of Elizabeth I in England, when there were no black people in England. Keep in mind, the first black man ever to live in London was a historical figure. His name was Cornelius, and he didn't move to London until 50 years after Mary, Queen of Scots was set. Where's the movie about Cornelius? You want to make movies with black people in it set in medieval England? Make a movie about him. Make a movie about his life story. What you don't do is take a time period that had no black characters and cast a whole bunch of black actors. I'll tell you why, because I don't want my young black nephew watching Mary Queen of Scots thinking, well, in the 1500s we were advisors to the Queen and generals to armies. No, you weren't. No, black people weren't, and white people teaching that they were is a way of getting rid of the guilt that they carry. And it's
now, this is where I highly disagree with Tristan Tate on. I highly disagree with Andrew Tate or Tristan Tate on the last like 30 to 45 seconds. Having that representation of, even if it wasn't historically accurate, it's fucking film. It's a fucking film. Everything doesn't have to be historically accurate. Everything doesn't have to always be whatever. But what having an identity of someone that looks like you being in a position of either power, being in a position of influence, being in a position of high regards, does something to the way that you look at yourself. And it's extremely important for things like this to happen. It's extremely important for black people. We do it for gays now. We do it for gays. We do it for the trans community. You know what I'm saying? We got all these things that we're doing. So like it's only right that it happens. It's really important for the self like confidence and self-identity of these marginalized groups. So Andrew Tate saying, or Tristan Tate saying, "Oh, I don't want my black nephew seeing you weren't this. You were that. You need to know that you're a fucking slave. You were." Now, I know that's not exactly what he's referring to, but that's what a lot of people's mind goes to, right? Of course, black people did so much more things, right? However, I do agree with the point that there is not as much Hollywood triple A movie director funds backing of historically accurate figures that are black. Jordan Peele is one of the few, because Tyler Perry, we can say Tyler Perry is one of them too out there, but like the thing about Tyler Perry is that he's made a lot of, they call it black exploitation, Blaxploitation movies came out when like super bad, you know, back in like the 70s and 80s, when, you know, Menace to Society. That's called blaxploitation, where you make a tremendous amount of movies, and even Color Purple, even the Color Purple is considered one of the blaxploitational movies because it was very fictional. But what happened is the few incidences of that happening, like look at the history, look at the lashback, the criticism of the Color Purple when it first came out. People didn't want it. The black community at large did not like it at first, right? But it kept getting pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed out there because we love to see black people kill each other. We just love it. Menace to Society is such a big movie. Juice, big movie. The acting, great. However, blaxploitation is just made so much more money. And so it's been historically a consistent moneymaker, consistent what is it called, a box whatever fucking movie. And so we do need some changes. If this is what they're doing, casting traditionally white characters as black characters, and if this is the way that it takes to start to get a little bit more money so that we could pull those funds into making better historically accurate figures for actual like black people, stuff like that, well then fuck it, you know what I mean? We'll go ahead and take it. We'll take the black Captain America. We'll take the black Little Mermaid. We'll take the black Aladdin. Whatever's next, man. You know, how about a black princess, right? Princess and the Frog. That was a good one. Right? So, you know, hey.
Absolute nonsense. It is a lazy attempt at casting black people in modern day television. If you think of some of the black people in history, I actually got this up. I'm going to read the full title out. In 1861, a slave named Robert Smalls stole a Confederate ship and delivered it to the Union Army. He was given command of the ship. He became a major general, bought the house where he was a slave, and let the former owner's wife live there when she developed dementia. He learned how to read and write and won an election against a white man and served 5 years in Congress. Where is the movie about Robert Smalls? Where is the movie about Robert Smalls? You don't make one. What you'll do is you'll make a movie about Vikings and turn them black. It's insulting and it's lazy. What's his name? Ashuga. Is it Ashuga or Ashuka? I believe he was a black slave sold by a Portuguese merchant vessel to Japanese men who set him free, and he became a samurai warrior in feudal Japan. A black African man. Where's the Netflix series about him? Animated or non-animated? That would be a fucking killer of a show. Make the series. There's a job for a black actor. But what you don't do, and the BBC did this, is take a classic story like the story of Troy, where Achilles is described in the original text as a fair-skinned man with long blonde hair, and make the actor black. You don't take Anne Boleyn, Henry VIII's wife, who was a white woman, and make the actress black. It's lazy and it's insulting. As a mixed-race man, it offends me. So no, I don't think that The Little Mermaid should be black. What I think Disney should do, if you are so imaginative and filled with imagination as you claim you are, is create a new princess. Maybe a princess in feudal Africa. Maybe make a story about black characters and include more black people. Don't just blackwash your characters. It's lazy and it's stupid, and I personally can't stand it, and black people shouldn't stand for it either. You should go to a movie where they make the Vikings black and walk out and say, why are they putting black people in the Vikings movies? My kids are going to think that we were Vikings. It's absolutely ridiculous. But I will give a quick honorable mention to people who do make movies and TV shows.
Okay, that's interesting. So, Exotic, you asked about people who have had these conversations. Julesy, Riza Islam, Dr. Umar, Louis Farrakhan, Chrissy, James Baldwin, and Bell Hooks. Interesting. Thank you so much. You dropped some references. You really did. You know, you answered the call. So I will definitely check these people out on my own time. And if they're good, I will absolutely, you know, take a look at it. You said Andrew Tate isn't revolutionary in these conversations, truthfully. And what I dislike is that people like him aren't in the circles of black people who are making movies, plays, and community-based activities. I fully understand the frustration and anger sentiments, but it's more nuanced than this. Well, first, this is actually Tristan Tate. This is his brother. Andrew Tate, I don't think he's made any commentary. Andrew Tate is a bit more, I would say he has he has made more of an impact about men and women. He tried to stray away from racial commentary. He has talked about it a bit much, but I think Tristan Tate has, at least in this section right here, has been the most vocal about black, things. And so this is Tristan, not Andrew. But yeah, I mean, this could go for anybody. So this can go for anybody, and I think that the reason why his and Andrew Tate's message matters once again is because the influence that they have. So many people are going to look at it, just like I Show Speed. Some people may not agree with I Show Speed's form of content, but the fact is that he's got 60,000 people watching him every day. He turns on the live video, and so that message, that whatever he's saying, whether it's completely uneducated, whether it's completely illiterate, the dude is illiterate, and he could be a bit more educated. It matters because, I mean, 60,000 people are watching him. Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate are the most Googled. They're the most famous people on the planet right now. They're the most Googled people in the world. And so it really does matter what they say. We should be paying attention to what they're saying, because just like how you're saying, like Exotic Areas, like you're saying that their opinions don't matter. Well, there are so many people watching. Actually, 100,000 people, if we look at this, 103,000 people that have watched this video, who probably have never heard of Julesy, Riza Islam, Dr. Umar, Louis Farrakhan. There's a lot of people that haven't heard about them. So this is the first thing that they're ever hearing about, like, black commentary. And I'm sure these guys are simply like a Donald Trump, right? There's many people who feel the exact way that Tristan and Andrew Tate feel about this. I'll just say Tristan Tate, for instance. But Tristan is simply just the face of it. Donald Trump is simply the face of all the ideologies that a lot of white Americans were feeling at the time. He just was the face that would say the things that these people wish other people would say for them. And so I think it's extremely important to understand, like, if you were to label Andrew or Tristan Tate like radicals or something like that, it's extremely important. What do they say? Keep your enemies keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. If you want to consider like Tristan and Andrew Tate and their ideologies as toxic, it's important to understand what it is that they're talking about, so that you can garnish the ammo, the ammunition, the weapons to destroy and take down, whittle their foundations of their thoughts little by little, because you're understanding, you've listened to what they said. So I think it's extremely important. You said you fully understand the frustration and anger sentiments, but it's more nuanced. Oh, okay, I already read that. Yeah, more nuanced than that. Well, what do you mean by, like, it's more nuanced? Because I think that I agree with you. I completely agree with you. I think it's definitely a lot more complicated than what he's making it out to be, you know. But at the end of the day, for someone like me, right? I'm mixed, but I spent literally damn near my entire life with the black community. I identify as a black man. I believe that the black community is its biggest enemy. We are our biggest enemy. It seems like and of course I'm not saying all, but when the majority of the community does fuck shit, it's hard to build anything. We look at the Asians. Like, I just saw an article, like, I think like some exotic areas. You sent me an article of Koreans wanted to build a Koreatown in Dallas. And it's like, that's not possible unless there's a lot of money, there's a lot of support, and there's other like Koreans in positions of power to create this type of thing. Because you got to think about zoning regulations. You got to think about buying the fucking property. You got to think about land rents. You got to think about renting out the space. You got to think about utilities. You got to think about what businesses that you're going to want to bring into this landing Koreatown area, so that the initial investment is going to be remade back. And so that a profit, like, there's so many things that come into it. And I'm not saying that black people don't do it, but it takes a lot more than just a few to get some major things done. You want an Africa town? Well, it's going to take a bunch of Africans or a bunch of black people to come together and not sell fucking dildos in their churches, and not sell sex toys in their churches and shit like that, you guys. Not a fucking play young NBA young boy and young Dolph in the fucking youth circles and shit like that. Those are negative things that destroy the community. And it's not to say, once again, I'm saying it's not to say that all the community does this. It's the majority. The majority is what makes or fails. It either makes or breaks things, man. Of course, yeah, you got the few, that the very strong and very sound few, but when we look, I want to talk about for my generation, for instance, real quick, right? We want to talk about for our generation. When we think about that black influential people of our generation who are very, very fucking huge, right? I can't really think of any girls at the moment. The only girls I can truly think of that are kind of like influential in a political space or anything like that. What's her name? The girl that got sued by Cardi B, Tasha K. Tasha K. We got Tasha K out here. Most of the girls that are in positions of power are gossip channels, and it's not to say anything bad about that, right? I did not like Candace Owens at first, but Candace Owens at least is bringing the conversation with a very sound, and she's in politics, you know, so she's in politics. She's an actual politician. She's an actual politician talking about these types of things. So I can understand someone like Tristan Tate or Andrew Tate talking like this, and it not really it being a bit more like, you know, like, where's the weight at? But these guys are damn near billionaires. This is like a Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk talking about these types of things. The impacts, the ripples are going to go far. But back to like the black influencers of our, like, you know, age, we got what, RDC World, I'm Dante, we got all of the big black like people want to stay kosher. They want to stay, and I'm using kosher, I know it's like a Jewish term, but I mean kosher in the sense like they want to be appropriate for the ad revenue. They want to be appropriate for the majority of their audience. They want to be appropriate for, they don't want to get involved with changing the world and shit like that. However, I would say they are changing the world in their way. RDC World, anime, making it perfect for black people. They're slowly making it, you know, acceptable for black people. We got ISO Speed and Kai Cenat breaking into the streamer sphere, which was traditionally only white people. If you look back before Kai Cenat, only white streamers won the streamer awards. Kai Cenat was the first black streamer to win a streamer award. So, you know, the way that these guys are making black people be known could be different, could be better, but, you know, I mean, I guess we got to start somewhere, right? You said I understand that I have a 15-year-old brother that is learning about men and women relationships through the lens of the Tates. Man, he said the internet is an echo chamber of criticism, but will these people log off and be the change they wish to see? It's not glamorous, it's not full of hype. This is a really good point. That's a very good point that you bring up, Exotic Aries, because like the thing is that a lot of people aren't going to do anything about it, but what they will do is regurgitate these sentiments, these ideals, these thoughts in their everyday interactions, which will make a little change. It's kind of like the butterfly effect. You step on a bug, you alter all of life for the future forever, right? You stepping on a fucking bug can change history, right? So it's like listening to these types of topics, and these other guys, these young men, 15, 14, even young girls, they're listening to this type of stuff and they don't have any other like people to back this type of perspective off of, because their parents or their role models just don't listen to this type of stuff. They don't have anyone to really back these, like, to combat these thoughts to, besides themselves. Just like you said, it's an echo chamber. And so you said I listed black entertainers, but once again, it's like the black community cares more about entertainers than they do about true leaders. You know, this is what I'm saying. It's like when you talk to the average black person is not listing political leaders. The average black person is not listing, you know, revolutionaries, right? A lot of people don't even know who D.E.B. Du Bois is, and I'm messing them up. W.E.B. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't even know. I'm not a representative of all black people. Once again, I'm not saying it as a black, and the reason why I'm going so hard on this is because I'm going to clip this and put this on my actual YouTube. So people that are watching this, they're going to be like, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, it's like when it comes to the black leaders, the entertainment industry holds the most weight. Like it holds the most weight for not even just black people, but for the society. You know what I mean? It's like you know, the people who have the most influence these days are the entertainers. They're the fucking entertainers, man. Joe Biden went to go sit down with fucking Cardi B. I'm going to go talk to we need to get to the heart of the African American community. She ain't even black. She ain't even black. She ain't even black. If politicians like Joe Biden think that the way to get to fucking the black community is to go through our entertainers, it means something. It absolutely means something. You say you think the reason why people get attracted to Tate or Trump is because they're powerless or disenfranchised in their real life and need a vehicle to train up their frustration / awareness. Now, there may be a hint of truth to it, but it when you want to talk about truly intelligent, truly rational people aligning with a person like Trump, like me, for instance, I actually like Trump. I agree with Trump's ideals. I agree with Trump's decisions. I agree with that shit. You know why? Because I want to make it. It depends on how you want to live your life, right? It depends on how you want to live your life. What do you want your children to see? What would you have wanted to see when you were growing up? And I think this is why a bipartisan system such as America's, you know, if you want to, regardless of whether or not you want to say it's, you know, like actually like a fucking democracy or not, it's still good to have a multiple party system. Granted, it's the Democrats, Republicans, and they're always going to win. There's so many other parties that never will win. They're still important. But that's just the thing that's important about it. These other parties are there. They're never going to win, though. Never going to win. Because there's not enough power, there's not enough money, there's not enough influence, there's not enough fucking corruption behind these other parties that will put them in a playing field to make legitimate changes. The way that these people are making changes is through the mentality, through their voice. And that's just as strong of a change as just being in a fucking seat of position of power to truly change something. Having a voice is the second best thing to having actual true power. It's almost interchangeable, right? Your voice, your influence, the amount of followers, shit like that is almost as interchangeable as just legitimate, like real power. You know what I mean? So I don't know. You correct me if I'm wrong or something. Comment down below, you guys, if you think I'm wrong or whatever, because you know, this is just it's a lot getting into it. It's just a lot to it, you know. It's so much to it. It's so much to it. But good conversations out of Gary's. I like that. I can definitely tell you're different. You're definitely different.
And cast all black cast. People like Jordan Peele. I watched a movie recently. It was called Us. It was a horror movie by that director Jordan Peele. And I've sat around with my black friends. I'm mixed race myself. I know I look super white. For all the comments, I know I look super white. I'm mixed race myself. I've sat around with my black friends talking about horror movies. And they're like, yeah, that's white people shit. The house is haunted. I'd act like this. I'd act like that. You know, to actually watch Us, which was a movie directed by Jordan Peele, which was a horror movie, starring a black family and a bunch of other black actors. It was a wonderful movie because it was an original story. Great that he cast an all-black cast, because why shouldn't you? It's not a movie that's being redone. It's not a plot that should involve white people. It's a plot set in the United States, and 13-14% of Americans are African American. And it was hilarious. The way that they behaved in the horror movie was actually different from the way white people behave, analyzing their body counts, etc. And it was a great movie. So shout out to great directors like him. But when I hear they're trying to make James Bond black, I mean the 007 in the latest one, I know it's not James Bond, but with some black woman, I'm like, just write new characters, write new black characters, and make the movies great. There's no need to do this. And black people should demand more from companies like Disney.
It's a hot take. It's a hot take. I think he has some good points, but I don't believe it overall. I don't believe it's right overall. I think he has some good takes, but it definitely could be refined a bit more.